Welcome back to Whiskey with E. I'm Eric. Now today we do have a whiskey with the E. We have the Bookers. Alrighty, so Bookers, uncut, unfiltered, unchill filtration, everything. Let's just say this is practically like straight from the barrel. Alright guys, so pretty much here in Australia we get this once a year. We only get the first batch, so we have here the first batch of 2024, so 2024-01 E for export. Alrighty, so this one is coming in at 62.2%. Alrighties, which is 124.4 proof. Now, this is 7 years, 1 month, 12 days. Now, in America, they have Springfield batch, which is 2024-01, but that is 7 years and what, like, I think it's more than 1 month, guys. Let me know in the comments if you know how many months the Springfield batch is. I think it's like maybe 8 months or 5 months or something. Hence why I say, is the Springfield batch the same as the batch that we get here in the export market? Now, I know the UK market probably gets the same as what we get here in Australia, so I don't know, maybe we just get our own thing for the for the UK and Australia market. But either way, even though the labels are all boring and just all the same color, the boxes don't come in a wooden box and it comes in a cardboard box, I still get excited every year whenever it gets released. Alright, so without further ado, pause for the cork pop. Oh, not really much of a cork pop now. As you can see, I have been enjoying a bit. I've shared this out, and I've also put some in with the Australian red gum that I toasted and put into another little bottle. We're going to compare it a little bit later. Alright, look at the color of that. I mean, it is dark, guys, but essentially we've seen darker. Alright, now let's put this on top. So like I said, this is essentially Springfield batch, but it doesn't say, so I don't know, so I'm not even really going to get into the whole topic of the Springfield batch. I think it's the nod to Mr. Booker knows. I think he was raised in Springfield. I mean, I think maybe even Abraham Lincoln was probably raised in Springfield, but that's what I mean. We don't get a label that says Springfield batch, so I'm just going to go off. This is a different kind of batch. We're surrounded by birds. You gotta love that. Alrighty, so color, like I said, it's not light, guys, but it's not totally dark, but it is golden. It is beautiful, let's just say. Can you see that, guys? Alright, let's give it a little roll. Let's give it a little roll, give it a little nose, and let's give it a little taste. Here we go. Alright. On the nose, you're not getting any crazy levels of ethanol or nothing like that. You're not even getting much of a crazy peanutty note. I mean, you're getting more like a, like it is slightly nutty, don't get me wrong, but it's not like the crazy peanut bombs that we're used to. It's probably more like a walnut, like a Nutella kind of vibes, but obviously without the chocolate. Oh my goodness. There is quintessential vanillas, the caramels there, but I'm not saying it's a vanilla bomb. I'm not saying it's a caramel bomb. It's almost like slightly burnt brown sugar vibes. Man, I'm getting vibes of like, it's almost like rubbery almost. I don't know how to describe that in a sense where maybe it makes sense. The rubberiness almost comes across like smokiness, like a charcoal kind of vibe. Someone else was describing this as the ingredient that they use to make licorice, you know, before it becomes licorice. But I don't know the name of that thing, so you know what, I'm just going with what I'm known. So you know what, slight nuttiness, but not a crazy nuttiness like every other Booker's that we're used to. Ethanol's not really there. You are getting that brown sugar. There is a sweet element there, almost like a creme brulee kind of vibe. But it's not like leathery. It's not like cigar-y, you know, it's... Oh man. But either way, even though this Booker's is one of the least peanutty kind of batches that I've had in a while, I'm still enjoying it, to be honest. As you can tell. I mean, I did share this out, guys, but I did enjoy it a bit. You know what? Let's have a sip. Here we go. Who's tried this batch? Let me know in the comments. Here we go. Cheers, everyone. Oh. It's like salted caramel vibes. Wow. Alright. At the front, it's a little bit flat, alright? I think it depends on how you take your sip. So essentially what I'm doing is, I take a little sip, I splush it around, you know, that helps to just disperse all the flavors around in my mouth. And then I'll slowly go to swallow it. Then we're kind of seeing where the different flavor profiles come in as it's going down. But honestly, if I don't splush it, at the front end, it's really flat. It's almost like you want to say it's smooth. You're not getting that ethanol bite, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind it when it's a little bit flat at the start because it allows me to get the flavors at the end, if that makes sense. You know, if it's a little bit too ethanol bitey at the start or a little bit too dramatic, sometimes it kind of scares you off a little, you know, you're like, oh, you know. But let's try a sip without the splush, see what we get. Here we go. Cheers, everyone. Acclimated. Honestly, it is a sweet batch. It is sweet, definitely. But I'm picking out sweet as in it's sweet like a salted caramel kind of sweet. At the front, really doesn't bite, really doesn't burn. You could almost say it's flat, like I said. You know, then it rolls to that salted caramel vibe. You do get the little bit of a prickly heat in the mid palate heading towards the end. Then it's almost like a little bit of a peppery spice almost, but you know what? Man, I'm gonna have another one. Honestly, I love my Booker's batches, guys. For everyone that's followed me for a while, you'll know that, let's just say, I started off on this bourbon journey enjoying rare breed, you know, wild turkey rare breed, quintessential, you know? But as we know, rare breed's pretty much readily available on the shelves. So when we were getting into bourbon, when we eventually came across Booker's, and then how there's these different batches, you know. So honestly, it sparked up the love for chasing different barrel-proof bourbons, all right? Which here in Australia is definitely hard to find. The only thing you're really pretty much finding on the shelves is rare breed. Now, you can find Booker's once a year. Keep in mind that once a year we only get the first batch. So, now you can obviously go online and find some Elijah Craig barrel proofs and all that, but like I just bought a Elijah Craig barrel proof. That was $200 online. This was $100. Put that into account. $100, cheaper than a rare breed now that you'd find in the stores. Rare breeds here in Australia are like going for $100, $115. Crazy prices here in Australia, guys. But you know what? I'm going to have another still sip. We're going to pour up another one. We're going to pour up another glass. We're going to put some water in there. We're going to see it all. All right, here we go. Yeah. The more you sip at this, the more approachable it gets, the more it starts to feel flat. But nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with that. All right, here we go. All right, we have this section. All right, have another glass here. Oh no. And then we have some water. This ain't no rare Kentucky water or nothing. This is straight boiled water that I've put into this bottle and obviously cooled down, fridged it up. Here we go. We're just going to put a few drops in. I wonder if that takes it to 107. Yeah. Once it heads towards 101, it's getting a little bit too thin for me. But, so, let's say, with the water in the left hand, without the water in the right. Well, opposite for you guys. Oh my goodness, that just confused me. My right, I mean my left, your right. You get what I mean. Water, non-water, here we go. Honestly, it took away the sweetness. It brought out more charcoaly barrel char, if that makes sense. On the nose. See, without the water, still sweet, like salted caramel, burnt brown sugar vibes. Yeah, I think the water has taken away the sweetness of it, but you know what? Let's have a sip with the water. Here we go. Well, that has just taken away any element of warmth. Or, I mean, if you're someone that isn't used to drinking barrel-proof bourbon, then you're going to say that has taken away the bite. Not that there was much of a bite to begin with this batch. Alright. Oh, man. Honestly. Yeah. I personally think if you put drops of water into the barrel proof, it really does tone it down dramatically. You know, it really does thin things out, but you may be at that level where you're enjoying 101 proof, 107 proof, you know. So when you're buying a barrel proof bourbon, you can proof it down to the point where your enjoyment, you know, where you can work out what level it is that you enjoy with the water in it. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? You can work out your portions, you know, you can add more water in if you're thinking it's still a little bit too hot or, you know. But personally, once you get to that enjoying the barrel proof modes, you don't want to add water in. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. That salted caramel, that sweet burnt brown sugar comes on in the back end. Like I said, it's a little bit flat on the front of the palate. Mid palate does come with a little bit of spikes. What do I mean by spikes? It must be that ethanol-y bite or that little spikes. Yeah, almost like a like a stringent, like a, I don't know, it's like this weird ethanol kind of vibe comes in on the top of your tongue, you know, in the mid palate. Then it kind of brings on this heat, but it's not necessarily like it's ethanol burns or nothing like that. You know what, with the water, tastes fine, tastes beautiful, but honestly, I prefer it without the water. But let's try it without the water, let's get it. It's just more, you're just getting elements of it's more thicker. Yes, that spiky bit in the mid palate, that ethanol-y little tingle of the ethanol burn does come in a lot more without the water. But honestly, it's beautiful either way. You know what? I'm gonna pour up something. Now this, ladies and gents, this is the Booker's 2024-01 that I poured into here. Now I did toast up some extra bits of red gum wood. Now these are dramatically big pieces of red gum wood. If you could see in there, they're very big and chunky. Alrighty, so from what I noticed with the aging or the extra aging with the toasted wood bits, essentially when, let's just say when it's just 1 day, 2 days, you're getting the element of the red gum, you know, you're picking out that red gum wood flavor, right? Now if you let it sit for over 5 months, that red gum flavor, it starts to get all the wood sugars out and it starts to be a lot more sweet, all right? So at the moment, it's definitely gonna be too red gummy, but we're just gonna have a little taste, guys. We're just gonna pour some out. Yes, looking real black up in there. Look at the color difference already, guys. Look at the color difference. Can you see that? Can you see the color difference already? I know there's bits of floating charcoal in there, but essentially we can strain that out, you know, with a stocking or something like this. Oh my goodness, let me just pick out the big chunky bits. Chunky bits of the wood char. There we go. Oh my goodness. Excuse me, 2 seconds. We'll get this out. Uh-oh. It doesn't really matter, guys, but honestly, there we go. Just the big chunky bits. Even though charcoal, they say the indigenous used to use charcoal to brush their teeth. So there you go. Don't be fussed about the charcoal. Alright, you know what? Like I said, the colour dramatically darker. Like, look at that, guys. That is like heading towards Coca-Cola. And this, still vibrant, still golden, alright? So you know what? On the nose, with the extra red gum, toasted wood bits. Let's get it. Yep, honestly, it noses like red gum char. Like a red gum campfire. I'm barely even getting the Booker's signature notes. I'm not getting much. Like this at the moment is like, you're really picking out that creme brulee kind of vibes, that toasted brown sugar, you know, that burnt brown sugar caramelized. Not too much vanilla. But honestly, it's still a beautiful nose regardless. This, red gummy. Definitely very red gummy. This is what I mean. You gotta give it time to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now drop, now drop, now drop, now drop. If you know what I mean. Let's just say at the moment it's just a lot of woodiness. So we got to wait for it to just breathe it back in and breathe it back out. And, you know, to the point where we're getting more of the wood sugars out of the wood. if that makes sense. Alright, here we go. Let's try some with the Australian red gum toasted. That's definitely extra character, that's for sure. I mean, honestly, there is a reason why I do it, because it really does change things, and it really does change the experience of what what you're enjoying. Now everything's still all there from the Bookers. It's just that it's just coated in this Australian red gum wood that is just very overpowering at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to say to the point where it's tannic, you know, it's too much tannins, too much wood, but honestly, if you don't know what red gum is, then yeah, this is a good way to work out what red gum flavors taste like with the bourbon. Now, I understand for the rest of the world you probably can't find Australian red gum wood, but for everyone in Australia, if someone has just cut down a tree and you see little chunks of red gum that they've sawed, grab some, but you know, toast some up and add some into your bottle, like so. Just chuck it in there, fill it up with a barrel proof bourbon of sorts, or you know, I've even done this with the Bundaberg rum, you know, the OP. Honestly, that did wonders with the Australian red gum. Oh my goodness. Now, I've even used that, the Bundaberg OP with the Australian red gum influence, blended with some bourbon. Oh, magical. That is just brown sugar to the fullest. You know what? Let's just say beautiful. I'm going to blend them together. Here we go. Alright. With the water as well. Why not? Here we go. You know what? I'd rather a Glen. Here we go. Alrighties. Alrighties, we're going past 20, oh my goodness, 22 minutes of me dribbling shit. Alright, here we go. As you can see, floaty bits of red gum, but honestly, oh man, you can't go wrong with the barrel proof bourbon. Honestly, love it. That red gum element just totally toned down. I can't even nose it anymore. It's just in the background. Whew, beautiful. Anyways, cheers everyone. Drink responsibly, especially if it is barrel proof. Now let me know in the comments if you have tried the 2024 01E. If you are in the Australian or the UK market, if you've tried this, let me know in the comments. Now, if you have, or if you're in the States and you've actually have Springfield batch, and maybe you have a batch of the 2024 01E, like the export market, if you've tried the difference, could you let us know? Is it the same thing? Maybe I should Google this. I think if you Google 2024 01E, maybe the websites or maybe Jim Beam should tell you what barrels they use from what section of what warehouse, all that kind of jazz. I just didn't do it. Honestly, doesn't really matter, you know. It would have to be for the nerds. The nerds would want to know, but I think if the nerds want to know, you can Google it up, guys. My apologies, I didn't do that, but yeah, let's just say I did used to do this in the past, and it's too much to read out. And I don't do the editing things. I don't put it up on the screen. If I knew how to do that, we would definitely do that. But let's have a sip of this. Cheers, everyone. Let's get it. Mm. 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 Oh. Yeah. This batch is all in the end. It's all in the mid. It's all in the mid palate, right to the end. At the front, really nothing. But I don't mind that for some reason. Let me know if you enjoy something that is crazy on the front of the palate, or do you rather things to start off in the mid palate, or do you like it all? Honestly, not bad. Oh man. Oh my goodness. This video can go on all day, guys, you know what I mean? But let's just say, like, comment, subscribe. I will catch you all on the next one. As always, drink responsibly and don't drink and drive, guys, especially if it's barrel proof. Yeah, there is no bite, guys. It's a little bit of a, like a little bit of an ethanol sting, a little tingle in the mid, heading to the end. Brings out the slight spiciness, but honestly, it's not even that spicy. You know, the more I sip of this, the more I'm just picking out little things. Not bad, eh? Yep. I mean, I blended some nicer things, obviously, but for what this is, you know, for picking out boogies, for what this is, $100 online. Now, if you go out into your stores, it's roughly 130 bucks nowadays, Booker's batches, but honestly, rare breeds going to 100 and something, 115 almost. Prices is just going crazy here in 2025, but anyways, at least we got to try the 2024. Alrighties. Anyways, much love all. I'll catch you all next time. I'm going to be repeating my damn self, so laters up.